friends, welcome to my channel. Before I continue in today's channel and video, may I ask that you like, subscribe, and comment whether you agree or disagree with my opinions, because all of us have different opinions and it is okay as long as we stand firm in our opinions. Make America great again. That's something that, a common theme that we've heard uttered the last 8 years since Trump ran for office in 2016. There's a different way I think we can make America great again. I took a course of introduction to philosophy, and I want to talk to you on how we can make America great again in today's society by using principles on how Aristotle showed on how we could use reason by creating a first premise, a second premise, and then drawing a conclusion. And then we're going to go into David Hume on some of the principles he said that one can gain true knowledge in order for us to make America great again. One thing that I've really noticed is that when I watched The Legal Breakdown with Brian Tyree Gowan and Glenn Kirshner, they're all the same. They're saying that, we got to vote blue. We got to vote for Democrats. We got to make sure Democrats win to make our country united. Mark Elias, Democracy Watch with Brian Tyree Cohen, he's on that same train. And I'm getting sick and tired of saying that you need to vote this way. We have Marjorie Taylor Greene at the Republican National Convention saying that Democrats are evil. They're manipulative. They're evil because of the attempt to take Trump's life, even though the shooter was a registered Republican. And there's a lot of information coming out as we go on day by day since this tragedy, because one thing that we can all agree on, I believe, is that violence is not going to make America great again. Violence is not going to spread unity, but divide. Dividing, we've all heard this statement, divide and conquer. So how can we use this tool of logic? I'll show you. Let's start out with that one phrase. Marjorie Taylor Greene says, Democrats are evil for attacking Trump. Okay. Now, if Democrats are evil, then by common sense, that would mean she's saying that Republicans are good, right? Now, Republicans are also considered as right-wingers. And the Republicans consider the Democrats as left-wingers. Well, another term for right-wingers is conservatives. And conservatives are traditionalists. They believe in traditional. They don't involve change. They don't want to change. It's my way or the highway. But more on that later. Because now that we have conceived that Democrats are evil, that would mean Democrats are probably liberal because of the fact that they're so against Democrats. That would be a good summation to say that Democrats are liberal. So if Democrats are evil, that means liberals would have to be evil. What is a liberal? Liberal is willing to respect or accept behavior or opinions different from one's own, open to new ideas, a support of a political or social philosophy that promotes individual rights, civil liberties, democracy, and free enterprise. So we have determined what Marjorie Taylor Greene is implying in that statement. David Hume, however, says something else. A wise man or woman, he says man, but I'll say and or woman, proportions his belief on evidence that he takes in. In other words, what he experiences. Now, with this whole idea that Republicans are good, what have they done? Well, they are against abortion. They have overturned Roe v. Wade. A lot of Democrats would say that that invades on women's rights. So what we conclude is that Republicans are for Christian values. Christian values means that they believe obviously in the Bible. And the Bible tells us of the story of God and Jesus and of creation and of our history. But I believe also it teaches us lessons. God gave the law through Moses. Moses and other prophecies told of Jesus. God became man in the form of Jesus. God gave the law. Jesus should abide by the law, right? If Republicans are saying that Trump is to be considered to be compared to Jesus, wouldn't that logically mean that he would have to live in accord with Jesus to be able to execute and live the way that he lived? Now, I don't want to go too much into the Bible here, but I think it's important for this really for us to take experience in that liberals are evil and conservatives and Republicans are good. We have to compare to what the Republican agenda and Republicans claim compared to what we know. Now, there's a commandment in the Bible that says no work on the Sabbath, no work on Sunday. Now, when we look in the Bible, we see Jesus allowed his followers to collect grain on the Sabbath. He healed on the Sabbath. Jesus was God and submitted to man's authority. And you take a look at that, is that the Bible in the Old Testament says that all men, boys that are born, that opens a womb, must be circumcised on the 8th year and presented and consecrated to the Lord. Now, why would Jesus have to submit to his own rules? We've heard a lot about the fact that presidents are completely immune. In fact, the only person that I would think would be completely immune from the law would be Jesus, because we've all heard this, is that the one who makes the laws can break the laws. We're seeing that a lot with the legislative, where they have laws in place that we need to respect subpoenas when we're subpoenaed, and we've got Republicans that think that, oh boy, that doesn't apply to us. Jesus was nailed to a tree. What did Jesus do when he was on that tree? He forgave not only the criminal that was crucified next to him, but he also forgave his executioners. I commented on that on one of the various things on Facebook, and one of the people responded that I am sick for thinking that. So apparently that person is saying Jesus was sick. Jesus responded to people's free and willing to accept his message. Jesus respected people. He allowed them to use free will to either accept or reject his message. Now, David Hume offered an opinion that the freedom to choose is not possible without the freedom to reject. And Jesus really did that. In fact, he told his disciples, go into town. If they don't accept your message, get the heck out. Don't worry about it. Just spread the message to other regions. That is how Jesus lived. That's how the example Jesus taught us. When he was coerced and when he was bound, when people were uttering cruel words and spitting on him, he did not threaten. He went peacefully. He submitted to their authority. What do Republicans do? What have we seen Republicans do with evidence of their belief in Jesus, belief in the Bible, and their submission to Christian values? We've seen Republicans and Trump threaten jurors and witnesses. We've heard them argue to just get their way, to pound the table that says, no, it's our way or the highway. They don't want to submit to the authority of the Constitution. The courts want to interpret, the conservative justices want to construct the Constitution in their own ways. If it's in the Constitution by text, then it's in the Constitution and needs to be interpreted that. If it's into their best interest, if it's into the Republicans' best interest. But if it's not in the Constitution, or if it is in the Constitution and it's not in their best interest, for example, when Colorado said that Trump is not allowed on the ballot in Colorado because he engaged in an insurrection, and that is the exact language of the Constitution, the Supreme Court issued an opinion saying, well, there's no statutory law on the book. We've seen Republicans force their beliefs on all the country. The Bible needs to be taught in public schools. The Ten Commandments need to be displayed in all the schools. I don't recall seeing Jesus forcing and pounding. He said we need to spread the word, but he never once recorded that we are to force our will on others. A lot of Republicans are really playing the cards against refugees and illegal immigrants. There's a little story that I seem to remember from religious class that when he was born, there was an attack on his life. So Jesus, Mary, and Joseph had to flee to Egypt. Was a refugee. Was it an illegal immigrant in Egypt? Now, people may say that, well, that's different, that's biblical, and we've got to keep the drugs out, and I would not disagree. They seem to be interested in power and their authority and to do what is in their agenda's best interest of the party rather than what's in the best interest of the country. Now, what was that definition for liberalism again? Liberal is willing to respect or accept behavior or opinions different from one's own, open to new ideas, a support of a political or social philosophy that promotes individual rights, civil liberties, democracy, and free enterprise. Oh, we saw Jesus condemn the conservative views of the scribes and Pharisees. So, what is the logical conclusion that we can make out of this? Jesus was a liberal. And because the Republicans say that Jesus is good, the Bible is good, Christian values is good, that would mean being a liberal must be good. And because Democrats are often seen as being liberals, that means the Democrats have to be good. Now, I'm not saying Republicans are evil, but I wouldn't mind saying the fact that the Republicans and the conservatives, justices, can be hypocritical at times. So I know how I'm going to vote, and I'm not going to brag and stuff, but judging by this logic experiment, judging by everything that I've went through, I believe Brian Tyler Cohen, Glenn Kirshner, and Mark Elias is correct. And I can conclude Marjorie Taylor Greene is trying to mislead, misinterpret, and the Republicans are trying to be hypocrites and just try to spread disinformation to the citizens because frankly, they think that the citizens of this United States are stupid. And I would have to agree with her on that to a degree. Because if we're going to really make America great again, it's not going to be on how we vote, but how we can support the decision on how we vote. By using logic, reason, by using some of philosophy like of Aristotle and of David Hume. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment on whether you agree or disagree, and I will see you next time.